Hello 836 subscribers, first name Chill, last name Monger. Thank you for clicking thumbs up. If you didn't click thumbs up, I take that thank you back. That was only for the helpful people who think I'm so nice I'm worth of this, and who are so nice that they offered it. Everyone else can kick rocks. Go watch somebody else do a review. Loki episode 2 happens, and the first place they visit is 1985, where they go back in time, and you can see that Loki asks so many questions that needed to be asked. The exposition that we got from the first episode continued on here. He goes, yo, listen, why don't we just go to the time before the Nexus events happened, and we can undo and clip it there right then and there. And Mobius says, you gotta do them while they're still active. When do the TVA take place? I think, and there's evidence at the end of the show when they bomb the timeline, that the TVA exist in the year of, I can't say a number, but I can say when every other Nexus event takes place, that's the time they exist in. Okay? Which is why when we get one little thing go astray from the timeline, that's okay because that's the female Loki doing something. But when she bombs the timeline, and it's the reason why every little thing showed up on that radar at the very moment where the female Loki bombed the timeline, with those reset charges that she's been collecting here and there from the Sasha Lane character. Sasha Lane is a non-white actress who they used here at Marvel casting diversely, and that's always commended here on Chillmonger, because Chillmonger's not one of those racist channels. You've heard Chillmonger complain about casting people who are not white at the expense of white people. That's not the right way to do it. This is the right way to do it. You just hire people who don't have a history in comic books of being a certain color. Like, for example, Magneto. I don't want to see Magneto not that skin color in another X-Men movie. That's the wrong way to do it. But if you do it like this, where you just take characters and make them different colors, or even changing their gender, or not changing their gender, but giving them a female gender, since that's a misrepresented, underrepresented, what's it called? Underrepresented fucking demographic. That's the right way to do it. And it's worth saying, because I'm not one of those racist channels who are just, oh, why are they changing everything? You also got to commend it when they do it the right way, or else you're one of those racist channels, which is not what Chillmonger is. It's very anti-racism. Sometimes I bring up stuff like Donald Trump, right? Like a racist president, to shit on, like I did in the last week's review, and it comes out of nowhere, and here it is. The show continues with a Loki paradox. Is Loki lying when he says, no, I know me, wait, it's a trap. If you go outside the tent, then we're doomed. And Mobius is like, well, let's hear this guy out. And Mobius figures out when Loki is lying. Mobius is a genius. And it's not until Loki kind of confessed a few scenes later that I realized, oh, he was lying. What a sneak. And like, watching his life play out on the TVA shows, it didn't even affect him. He's still going to be a cheat and a lying, sniveling. He's going to be Loki. That man was pure Loki, giving us a Loki energy. Tom Hiddleston proved why he's Loki with his Loki performance, but he's a liar. We continue now to where Mobius calls him, he says he has an insecure need for validation, like Donald Trump. And it's so true. Loki is really a bad person. Like, I dislike this guy. Like, I hate this character. He's such a weasel. I can't cheer for him. This is not a series where we're following a hero, which is different from Marvel, but I can't really get behind this guy at all. So he's in the library. A whole lot of not funny jokes about what he can and can't see. He's Lofi's son. He only has access to a few files. He figures out Ragnarok, and I thought he actually got teary-eyed because Asgard was destroyed. He didn't care about that. But Ragnarok is an event where there's destruction. And if you wanted to hide somewhere, that's where you would go. He's Loki. He knows where Loki would go. He figures that out. I had some questions. And it's the screenwriter, or rather not the screenwriter, but the show creator, Michael Waldron, who solves these questions as I ask them and as I write them down, because I'm ready to bring them up on my review. The question I was going to ask was, what do the TVA sense then? Are they looking for time anomalies, or are they looking for just destruction? Because when there's destruction, as they go back to the year 75 when a volcano is going to explode in Italy just to test this out. Dude, Mobius looks at his little device and he says, well, there are no Nexus events here. It's because it's a known tragedy. The TVA don't sense time shenanigans. They sense death and chaos and destruction. That question was answered to me during the show. It's great. Like, there was a lot of questions that they answered. Even in my last review when I was telling you guys about how, why would the Avengers be allowed this traveling right, but not Loki? Well, they kind of explain it. The Avengers never had a Nexus event that had the threat of going red because Captain America returns all the stones to where they're supposed to be. So therefore, the Avengers themselves reset the charges. Makes sense. I also made a mistake in that last review from last week where I said the word multiverse where I should have said universe. My mistake. And there's a lot of mistakes that we're going to do here on YouTube. We, as in the community of YouTubers, like a lot of people say the word multiverses. There's only ever been one multiverse that we've been experiencing from a Marvel Studios Kevin Feige produced show, you know? Like the 23 films and the 3 series on Disney Plus. It's all one multiverse. It's way wrong to say that there are other multiverses. We can say that comic books, like the 616, we can say this happens in another multiverse. Why? Because the TVA that we are introduced to in the Thor comics and the Fantastic Four comics, that's a different TVA than what we're getting on screen. Therefore, they've got to be different multiverses. I hope that makes sense. Just don't say multiverses plural and take that from me and go somewhere else now. There was a salad that he used to explain the situation. Didn't really work for me. It's not until I saw them go to Italy where I figured things out. They also do the free will conversation, which one of you guys wrote in my comments last week about free will has disappeared. And I disagreed with that. And they tried to get too philosophical with it. Yeah. Whatever. It came up. It's just fun that things that are happening in real life are getting addressed 7 days later when we pop on the show one more time, as if they know how the audience is going to think. This is definitely not WandaVision. Mephisto, Evan Peters, is it Quicksilver, this and that. The commercials, what do they mean? This is a show which the writer Alyssa something, she was talking about how she watched Lost and she remembers the week by week discussions she had, and she's replicating that here. So the timekeepers are busy untangling timelines, is what the explanation of that woman says. That woman might just be the timekeeper. I don't think that there are 3 lizard timekeeper people. That sounds very expensive, and that's a lot of CGI budget that doesn't need to go there. She is going to be deception. She is the timekeeper, right? She's a woman. This fits the Marvel narrative that she has all this power, and she happens to be female. Isn't that awesome? Serves so many purposes, and it's really expensive to have timekeepers. They go to a candy bar called Kablooey. That came out in 1947 to 1951. Cool detective work. They looked for little tragedies, and they talked about climate change, which is like, it's cool. And it's like, it's a nice way to insert real issues. Like, if you believe in something that strongly, which would be like protecting the earth and stuff, and you have the platform of a Marvel series, you could infuse it in your show very logically and smoothly. Very logically and smoothly, period. Like, and I like that. That's how that went. And that's how that went and happened. So in Alabama, they have like hurricane or floods or something, and they go to a futuristic store. CGI looked horrible in here. Oh, but it was futuristic nonetheless. There was a couple of products there with funny names and whatnot. Rox Corp. I had to rewind and turn on my subtitles on Disney Plus. It was not Roxxon. It was Rox Cart. Why they have to make that up? Who knows? But okay. Oh, Roxxon maybe because that was used during the Cloak and Dagger show, maybe. But inside the store, we see the Loki. It's a female Loki. She does the trick where she touches you and you turn. She turns into you. Some of those actors were really like cool. One guy Randy was just acting normal, and then all of a sudden He has like a little strut, the way a female would walk. That was good acting by that unknown person who doesn't exist. Oh, also, I wrote a note that said that there were wired headphones that were inside that store. Because in the future, they realized that wireless headphones run on frequencies similar to how the brain runs on frequencies, and those two things next to each other can cause damage. And then they figure out, okay, wired is the way to go. That's why there were wired headphones in that store, people. If you're wearing AirPods, Raycons, those things, I got you. Warning. Go watch the CBC Marketplace video they did on that and how cell phone radiation has long-term damage. It's your health, everybody. So, female Loki on hoods, it's actually her with blonde hair. I don't know why I didn't have black hair. Comic book female Loki, which existed, what year was this? 2010-ish. Around 2010, that's when that female Loki character existed. That's the first time I saw her. She had black hair. So they did it this way. Okay. It was a good episode. 8 out of 10 episode. A lot of questions answered, a lot of exposition given. And all in all, I think that this show has potential to be my favorite show. It's all because Michael Waldron is nailing it with the exposition. This man, Kevin Feige, hired to do his Star Wars series. This is the man from Rick and Morty, is it? He's also doing Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Don't sleep on this man. Don't sleep on this Michael Waldron guy. I think he might be my next Ryan Coogler, where I'm just a big fan of this guy for everything he does. We'll see where his career goes. And oh yeah, this is where the female Loki bombs the timeline. And here is where I think a multiverse starts to exist. This is where we can get things like the Fox X-Men. One of those is the Sony movies. One of those is Fantastic Four, where Chris Evans is the Human Torch. One of them is Fanforstic. But there's all of these universes, timelines that the TVA cannot control. And I think that that's where a multiverse exists. So before this show begins, we could say, we didn't, but we could say there is no multiverse. As of the events of this Nexus event that happened in 1951 in Alabama, there is now a multiverse. I'm Chillmonger. Subscribe. Audi.